Good day, everybody. I hope that you're well and also hope that you are having a good day so far. Today, we'll be doing our grade 5 English lesson on personal pronouns. And before we start, we're going to log on to aplusstudents.ca. Once we've logged on to aplusstudents.ca with our username as well as our password, and then we're going to select the subject of English language arts, grade 5. And then we're going to scroll down up until we get to the chapter of personal pronouns. Okay, all right. So we are at our chapter is personal pronouns. Our subject is English language arts, grade 5. And then our lessons are going to be where we choose between subject and object pronoun. And we are going to compound subjects and objects with I and me. All right. So when it comes to subject and object pronouns, when it comes to subject and object pronouns, the subject is usually so we say the subject is as we refer to either someone or something. All right. So you can use a subject pronoun as a subject of a sentence. As a subject of a sentence or a clause, it tells who is doing something and usually at the beginning of each of the sentences. The subject pronouns are words like I, you, he, she, it, we, and they. And if we look at an example of a subject pronoun, you can say, I hug Rick. All right. So that is a subject pronoun. If we look at an example, we said, I hug Rick, and the subject over there is I, right? It's something that I did as the over there. And then we can then use an object pronoun. All right. So we can say we can use an object pronoun after an action verb. So we use it after an action verb. And you can also use an object pronoun after a preposition, right? For example, we use it after words like for, of, on, to, or with. And the object pronouns are words like it's me, to you, him, her, it, us, and them. Those are our subject pronouns. All right. And if we look at an example, right, we say Rick hugs me. So not I being the subject and I do the action, but with regard, someone does the action for him, right? Someone is like saying, Rick smiles at me. Someone smiled at him. All right. So also another example is of an object pronoun. We said an object pronoun is me, it was like me, and it is used of an action verb, which is a hug. And the object pronoun me is used after a preposition act. All right. So we see that when it comes to all right. So now we're going to a+students.ca, and before we go to a+students.ca, we say that we are doing our personal pronouns. And personal pronouns is words like you have a subject pronoun, which refers back to the person. It tells you the subject pronoun is the subject and the subject of the clause. It tells you who is doing something, and it's usually at the beginning of the sentence. It is pronouns such as I, you, she, it, we, and they. Or we have a object pronoun, right? After an accident, you can also use an object pronoun after a preposition, like at, for, of, onto, or them. That is object pronouns. And if we look at the examples, right, of object pronouns, it says, it ran to me. All right. And if we look here at the bottom at object pronouns, right, it says we use the word me, and me is first used by the subject as the first word of the sentence. But the second one, objects, me is used as a reflexive pronoun. All right. So now we're going to a+students.ca. and we're going to choose between subject and object pronoun. All right, so we said you can use a subject pronoun as a subject of a sentence or clause, and it tells you who is doing something. And it is usually at the beginning of the sentence. The subjects are I, you, he, she, it, and will. And then we have our objects pronoun, which comes after an action verb. And you can also have an object pronoun after preposition, like at, for, of, on, to, or with. And the object pronouns are me, you, him, it, us, and them. All right. So now let us go here to our activity. Oh, it's jumbled up. All right. If we look at examples of especially object pronouns, remember it is where the next person does something, right? Not the subject per se. So the object pronoun is mean, it is used often action verb hugs, right? So Rick smiles at me, Rick hugs me, right? Those are all object pronouns. Guys, that's already in motion. We're talking about subjects, we're talking about personal pronouns. Can you hear? Or is it not showing on your end? Is it not showing on your end? Is it Adeline? We are talking about subject pronouns as well as object pronouns. And we say the subject pronoun is a subject of a sentence or clause, and it tells us who is doing something, and it is usually at the beginning of a sentence. And our subject pronouns are words like I, you, he, she, it, we, and they. Then we also have an object pronoun which is used after an action verb. And you can use the object pronouns after preposition. Prepositions are words like at, for, of, on, to, or with. Those are the prepositions. And the object pronouns are words like me, you, him, her, it, us, and them. Right? So, which means that personal pronouns, we have those are personal pronouns, and it is to do with the subject pronouns as well as object pronouns. Right? So now let's go to our test. on aplusstudents.ca. We need to select the correct pronoun to complete the sentence. Do we say him dyed his hair purple for Halloween, or do we say he dyed his hair purple for Halloween? What is the correct pronoun that we need to use? Him dyed his hair purple for Halloween, or do we say he dyed his hair purple for Halloween? All right. So do we say him dyed his hair purple for Halloween, or do we say he dyed his hair purple for Halloween? And if we were to choose the correct pronoun, we'll say he dyed his hair purple for Halloween. So well done. The next one says, do you think that the judges will select her, or do you think the judges will select she? We need to choose the correct pronoun. All right, so we can say, do you think the judges will select her, or do we think this will select she? And if we were to choose the correct one, we'll say, do you think the judges will select her? Remember to tell your parents that you appreciate they, or do we say, remember to tell your parents you appreciate them? We need to choose the correct pronoun within that sentence. Is it appreciate they or appreciate them? So remember to tell your parents that you appreciate they or that you appreciate them. Which one is correct? No problem. So remember to tell your parents that you appreciate them. The mosquito buzzed around and then but do we say me or and then but I? So we said the mosquito buzzed around and then bit me, right? Because I you'll usually find at the beginning of the sentence, but me you'll find after the action verb, and bit was the action verb. We need to select the correct pronoun to complete the settings. The sentence. It says, challenge you to a game of table tennis. So we said, we challenge you to a game of table tennis, or us challenge you to a game of table tennis. I am at my loudest. Can you hear me now? Because I'm at my loudest. Maybe you should log out and log in again, and then maybe if you can hear me, because I'm literally in front of my computer and at my loudest, like the volume also. Maybe go out again and then you log back in, and then maybe we see how it works. Right? So we said that, do we say we challenge you to a game of table tennis, or us challenge you to a game of table tennis? We need to select the correct pronoun. All right, and if we were to select the correct pronoun, we will say, we challenge you to a game of table tennis, right? And we is correct. Well done. When Vera is upset, she always confides in him, or she always confides in he. All right, so we say when Vera is upset, she always confides in him, or she always confides in he. And we said we're going with him. So well done. Him is correct. Yeah, so the next one, it says, do you judges will select she, or do you think the judges will select her? You need to select the correct pronouns. So do you think the judges will select she, or do you think the judges will select her? And if we were to choose the correct one, we will say the judges will select her. All right. So we said select the correct pronoun to complete the sentence. Enjoy discussing history, art, and music. Do we say the them enjoy it, or they enjoy discussing art, history, and museum music? And then we can say they enjoy it. All right. So the last one we can say, do we say I froze at the sight of snake on the ground, or do we say me froze at the sight of the snake on the ground? All right, so we say I froze at the sight of the snake on the road. Oh, sorry, I didn't select I. And I is correct. All right. So now we're going to compound subjects and objects with I and me. Compound subjects and objects with I and me. All right. I'm sorry. It says Mr. Thornton hired my cousin. Hired my cousin. All right. So when it comes to subject pronouns, right, we said I is a subject pronoun, and you can use it as the subject of a sentence within a sentence, and usually it's at the beginning of a sentence, right? It tells that the speaker is doing something, and it actually is at the beginning of the sentence. All right. So we see that also with subject pronouns, I is then used as a subject of the sentence, right? And I will usually, it's the beginning of the sentence. I did this, I did that, I went there, I hug her. But then we also have object pronouns, right? That we said we use often action verb or prepositions, right? And we said it's like, example, we say hug me. It's like things that the person also wants you to do to him or to her, right? All right. So now this is our also part of our subject. This is also part of the compound subject object with I and me. Remember we said say is a subject pronoun, and I basically tells us who is also doing something, right? It tells us who what the speaker is doing. So I is the speaker, and usually I you will find at the beginning of a sentence. And then we have the object pronoun also. All right. So now let us go here. It says Mr. Thornton, sorry, we need to select correct pronouns to complete the sentence. It says Mr. Thornton hired my cousins and, do we say my cousins and I, or do we say my cousins and me? So Mr. Thornton hired my cousin and me, or do I say my cousin and I? All right. So we can say Mr. Thornton hired my cousin and I. Oh, sorry, it is me. Yes. Sorry, it is me because it is something that is being done to you. Sorry. Yes. Exactly, exactly. It should actually be my cousins and I because that is even the proper way of how we speak when we say my cousins and I. But okay. Do we say Rena and I the milkshake, or do we say Rena and me blend the milkshake? Rena and I blend the milkshake, or Rena and me blend the milkshake. Which one is correct? Rena and I blend the milkshake, Rena and me blend the milkshake. So do we say Rena and I? Do we say Rena and me blend the milkshake? All right, so we say Rena and I. Because even if we had to remove Rena, then we say I blend the milkshake. Do we say Shireen and I blamed ourselves? Or do we say Shireen and me blamed ourselves? So do we say Shireen and I blamed ourselves? All right, so we say Shireen and I. Miss Harden introduced the other artist and me, or do we say Miss Harden introduced the other artist and I? Which one is correct? So Mrs. Harden or Miss Harden introduced the other artist and she introduced me. Yes. All right. So this is now the end of our lesson on personal pronouns. Thank you very much for joining the class. Um, and I really hope that you're going to have a good weekend, a good rest and peaceful weekend. So till next time, goodbye.